is it with these women prison workers who fall in love with an inmate and then help them escape? Now this story starts with this woman, Bobbi. And Bobbi's 32 years old when all this begins and she's living in Oklahoma, but Bobbi has a huge problem. She's not happy with her marriage. She and her husband allegedly just aren't clicking anymore like they used to, and sometimes it gets lonely for her. Bobbi works in the state prison in Oklahoma where she runs a pottery class for inmates. And one day in 1993, she meets this inmate, Dial. Dial is actually serving time for murder. But despite that, he's actually considered a well-behaved prisoner. He follows the rules, the staff likes him, he's also a talented artist, like he's really good at sculpting, so the prison staff gives him special privileges. Like he's allowed to work outside the prison walls sometimes, and he's allowed to help Bobbi run her pottery class for the inmates. And because of that, he and Bobbi start spending a lot of time together, making pottery and teaching inmates. Sometimes they even leave the prison grounds to visit shopkeepers and I guess either buy supplies or sell their pottery. And while all this is going on, Bobbi starts thinking, Dial, he's kind of fine. And he thinks Bobbi is fine right back. And they end up liking each other and they end up falling in love. But of course, he's an inmate, so they gotta keep this romance hidden. But here's what makes all of this extremely complicated. Bobbi's husband also works at the prison. He's actually the deputy warden. Now, at some point, Bobbi starts thinking that this secret hidden emotional affair that she's having with Dial, it's just not working for her. She can't do it anymore. But instead of ending the relationship, she decides to help Dial escape from this prison so that they can run away together and, I guess, live on the run for the rest of their lives? I don't really know what their plan is. So some time passes, and it's now 1994, and the big day finally comes. The day they're going to attempt this escape. And Bobbi tells her deputy warden husband that she's leaving to go shopping, and she leaves. Then she takes their minivan and I guess picks up Dial, and together they just drive off the prison grounds. And since this is not the first time she and Dial have left the prison together, I assume the guards think that they're just going to the shops to sell some pottery or something, and they let them pass by. So Bobbi abandons her job, her husband, and her 2 kids, because she's got 2 kids at home. And she and her convicted murderer inmate lover flee the state, and they travel from Oklahoma all the way down to Texas. Meanwhile, back at the prison, the deputy warden husband, he eventually realizes that not only is his wife missing, but Dial the inmate is also missing and that they're together. So he calls the police and they start investigating. But they all assume that not that they ran away together, but that Dial had kidnapped Bobbi and used her to escape. So they start looking for them, and there's this whole manhunt, and they place Dial on the FBI's most wanted list, but by now, Dial and Bobbi are in Hurst, Texas. And there, they stop at a local store, and Bobbi calls, not her husband, but her mom, and she's like, hey mom, I can't talk now, but I'm okay. Then later, she calls one of her friends, and she tells her the same thing. She's like, I want you to call home and tell the kids that I love them. And I guess the friend's like, okay. So Bobbi never directly calls her husband or her daughters. Anyway, after that, she and Dial keep driving until they get to Houston, and there, they settle down. And Dial, somehow he gets a job as a security guard because I guess they don't do background checks at this place. But apparently these two don't feel safe in Houston because they don't stay there for long. So they move again. They move a few times actually. And finally they end up in Kamptee, Texas, which is literally in the middle of nowhere. Like it's nothing but a few dirt roads out there.